joining. Today, all you need is a golf club, a chair or just something to sit on, like a bench. If you have a band, grab a band, but if not, a towel will suffice. We'll just give it a couple of seconds, and then what we're going to do is going to start with a warm-up. Okay, so today's exercises are going to focus around the hips. Okay, so hip mobility and some hip strength at the end, but also a little bit of kind of core and hip stability through the middle. What I would say with all the exercises, if something doesn't feel particularly comfortable, please don't push it, only kind of move within your limits. If you do have any questions on any of the exercises that we covered today, then feel free to send me a private message either during or afterwards, and obviously I will get back to you and answer any questions that they have. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with warm-up. I'm just going to move my bench just a little bit out of the way. We don't need that just yet. So we're just going to start with a golf club. So if you've got a golf club, just going to pop this above our head. Okay, trying to keep the club as far kind of above the head as we can. Okay, so we're really nice and tall and reaching up to that ceiling. And what we're going to do now is what we call a clock lunge. So just make sure you've got some room to the front, to the side and the back, okay? So we're just going to start by lunging forwards, push back up, then out to the side. When we go out to the side, try and keep your toes facing forward, load into that hip, push back up and then backwards, okay? We'll just do one leg at a time. If you're at home, you might just struggle with space a little bit. Out to the side, really sit into that heel for me, push back up, and then again, just backwards. Keep it going forwards. Out to the side, into that heel, back up, backwards. Good, keep it going, try and keep that club above your head. Good, nice and low, back up and backwards. Okay, two more this leg. Let's get nice and warm this morning, really mobilising them hips, nice and deep. So get as low as you can forward, control that movement. Once more, out to the side, weight into the heels, good. And back. Okay, good. So we're just going to do exactly the same on the other leg, okay? Club back above the head, forwards, control. Out to the side, really get into that hips, into the heel. And backwards, forwards. Out to the side, sit into it, make sure you're shifting all that weight. And back, keep it going. We're starting to warm up nicely now. Load in. And backwards. Do two more this leg, forwards, out to the side, really get into that heel, try and get that opposite leg nice and straight, back, okay, one more, forwards, out to the side, and then backwards, okay, good, so that's exercise one. So what we're going to do now is some aeroplanes, okay, so these are a little bit challenging in terms of balance, so if you fall over, don't worry about it, okay, I probably will do as well. So what we're going to do is like a hip hinge exercise. Then we're going to bring the arms out and then we're just going to try and rotate the upper body independently of the lower body, okay? So bear with it if you're kind of all over the place. So we're just going to start on one leg. We're just going to hinge. So like a single leg remaining deadlift, arms out to the side. So pick a spot on the floor, nice and stable, rotate away from the leg, back, rotate into the leg. Good, and back up. Okay, let's swap sides. Hinge at the hip. Get that balance, arms out. Rotate away from the hip. Nice and stable. And then into the hip. Just trying to rotate through here. Good, back up. And again, swap legs. So pick a spot, nice and balanced. Kind of just stabilize that position, then rotate away. And in, and back up, swap sides, hinge at the hip, hands out, nice and stable, rotate away, back, and then into the hip, well done, okay, let's do one more each side, okay, obviously with this one, if you've never done anything like this before, the more you practice it, the easier it gets. So again, make sure you're using your hip, try not to kind of like round through the shoulders, drop, hinge into the hips, arms out, nice and stable, rotate, good, nice and controlled, into the hip, good, back up, and then one small other side. You might find that one side is a lot more stable than the other. Hands out to the side, rotate away, good stuff. Okay, so next exercise, this is where you're going to use your chair. If it's a chair or a sofa, it'll work fine. We're just going to work a little bit on the glutes. Okay, so a little bit of kind of pelvic stability, getting the glutes nice and strong, which is obviously really important for kind of stabilising, looking after the lower back, but also generating power through the swing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this bench. We're just going to start by lying on our back and just popping our feet onto the bench, okay? So you want a little bit of bend in the knee because I really want to kind of get into the glutes, okay? So back's nice and flat, so if you just place your hands just underneath your back, you just want to make sure there's not a big massive kind of gap there. We want to kind of just tilt that pelvis in, keep the pelvis and the rib cage nice and aligned. We've got this really nice stable core position, okay? A little gap between the knees and the feet. Okay, you can pop your hands onto the floor for this one if it's a little bit easier. That will be more challenging, but we are going to do a single leg exercise this morning, okay? So we're just going to start with a couple of normal bridges. So all I want to do is just drive your hips up, a little squeeze of the glutes, all the way to come through the bottom and then back down. So we're just going to start with 6 of these. Squeeze your bottom, make sure your back's still nice and flat, try not to arch through the back, think about the pelvis and the rib cage being level. Back down, back should be flat. And squeeze, just warm up them glutes. Might feel a little into the hamstring, that's fine. But really squeeze that bottom, squeeze it out. Little hold at the top, trying to resist any rotation through the pelvis. And breathe out. Squeeze it out. Back down, and once more. Squeeze it out. And back down, good stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do is into that bridge, but then we're going to take one leg off, we're going to do a single leg bridge, okay? So we're just going to drive the hips up, okay, get into position, bring one knee up towards the chest, okay, so we're just working that right side. It's a little bit more challenging, so again you might feel like you're losing a bit of stability through the pelvis. Just stabilise, lower down, back flat, drive out, squeeze in that right glute, back down, and drive, squeeze it out. And again, keep it going, squeeze out, just hold at the top for a few seconds, and down, squeeze out, down, and squeeze, back down, get a little bit closer if you feel a little bit too much in the hamstring, drive out, squeeze your bottom, back down, keep it going, squeeze, nice and strong through that glute. Good, 3 more. Drive. 2 more. Squeeze. Last one. And squeeze and relax. Okay, so it's really important that you keep the opposite knee bent. Because what that does is it just kind of protects the lower back and stops you kind of overextending. So if you do feel that in your lower back, bring that knee in a little bit more and really focus on squeezing your bottom. Okay, we don't need any pressure through there. Okay, so we're just going to do exactly the same thing on the opposite leg. So we're just going to start by getting to position again, back's nice and flat, drive the hips up into the bridge, bring the opposite knee towards the chest, nice and strong, lower down, back should be flat as we come down, and then push up, squeeze that bottom, down, and drive, squeeze it out, pelvis level, good, try to come up with a little bit of speed, control, and squeeze. Good, keep it going. 4 more. Squeeze. You can obviously build these up and try and do as many reps as you can. Just build up some kind of endurance through these muscles, just really getting the glutes working. Like I said, are really important for rotation and kind of producing a little bit of power and speed through the golf swing. Okay, which is obviously what we want. 2 more. Squeeze it out. Back down. Once more, squeeze it out, and back down, good stuff, okay. So, they should be nice and warm now. So, we've got one more in the warm-up, and then we're just going to do some things a little bit more core focused. So I'm going to grab my club again, I'm going to use that bench. I'll just show you face on before I turn to the side. So you're going to elevate one foot, okay. I'll show you this way actually, and then I'll show you what it looks like from the front. So we're elevated one leg, so we're just holding that front leg. I want you to then just kind of like hinge through the hip, a little bit like you would if you're kind of like setting up into your golf ball, okay? Obviously we're on one leg, so nice and neutral. You're just going to bring the club out in front, so I'm kind of reaching a little bit with it. But then what I'm going to do is just rotate into that lead leg. probably can't see it from there, I'll show you in a second, but I want you to feel like you're really loading in with the pelvis as well. So face on, it looks like that. You see how the pelvis is kind of rotating into the hips and kind of really loading into that hip for me, and just keep reaching out with that, okay? So we're just going to do 6 on one side and then 6 on the other. So elevate your foot, okay, nice and tall, little hinge through the hip, just drop that club down, okay, eyes down towards the floor, and then just rotate into that hip, so really feel like you're kind of loading into it. Okay, wind into it and back out. And again, wind in, rotate through the pelvis, load into that left hip, and back out. And again, load, feel that load, back out. And again, nice and strong and stable through that left leg, or whichever leg you're on. Now on right first, 2 more. Load in, really posting into that leg. Good, last one. And back, good stuff. Okay, so we're just going to swap sides. So onto the opposite foot, just elevate, you can find the bench. There we go. Okay, so again, just hinge at the hips, nice and neutral for your spine. Okay, again, just really loading into that hip, kind of feel that kind of wind up, that spiral into that hip. And back out. And again, so if you really struggle kind of loading into the hip, back swing, or posting into it through the down swing, and you might find you get a little bit of lateral sway. This is just a really good drill to kind of give you that feeling. Okay, when we're on one leg, there's no way that we can kind of move sideways, otherwise we'll fall over. So it just gives you that really good feeling of kind of really getting into that hip. Okay, keep it going. Load in. Good, 2 more. Load in. Little hold. Once more. Load in. And back down. Good stuff. Okay, so that's the warm up. So hopefully you're all nice and warm now. I definitely am. Okay, so we're just going to do a couple of exercises that are a little bit more kind of core focused. So this is where I want you to grab your band or your towel. Okay, it doesn't matter which one you have. We're going to do some leg lowers. Okay, so we're going to lie down for this one. So grab your towel, and what we're going to do is we're going to put it around one foot. Okay, so the brilliant one for kind of hips. So if you do struggle kind of touching your toes or flexing, bending at your hips, or you struggle with hip strength, this is a really good exercise. So we're going to use the band to support one leg, which makes it a little bit easier, while the other leg kind of moves. Okay, so I want you to keep your back nice and flat throughout this one, so really pulling that belly button in. The leg that's lowering down, if you feel the back wants to arch, you're going to lose kind of like pelvic position. Yeah, just don't go as low, just stop, okay? So it's really important that you maintain this position, okay? So everybody's going to be different, for some it'll be easier than others. So you're going to lie on your back, using your towel, pull one leg towards you and kind of point the toe, so I'm getting a nice kind of stretch through that hamstring. And the other leg, obviously you're just going to control that yourself. Back flat, pelvis and ribcage are nice and aligned, nice and strong. You can just bring this other arm up, and then all I'm going to do is just lower that opposite leg as far as I can without the back arching, but don't touch the floor. So you keep control of the leg all the way through the exercise, and then back up it comes. And again, breathe out, lower that leg, a little hold at the bottom if you can. You're going to feel it in the core. Keep that nice stretch through that right leg. Breathe, control, all about control. Yeah, control that leg. If you've got a little shake on, don't worry, just need you working. Breathe, control. Make sure you are breathing, don't hold your breath. There's a lot going on. Big deep breath in, breathe out, lower that leg. Keep that stretch in that opposite leg. And back up, good. Let's do 3 more. Exhale. Breathe. Good. And again, keep that stretch. Keep controlling that other leg, nice and strong. Back's nice and flat. Pull that belly button into the floor. Lost count, we'll do 2 more. Hold. Back up. Don't worry if your leg's getting higher, if you're getting tired, that's fine. Just keep this nice and strong. Pause. And back up. Good stuff. Okay, so we're just going to swap legs. So if you just pop the towel around the opposite leg, just pull it towards you, get that nice stretch through that kind of hamstring area. Okay, same again. Back nice and flat, big deep breath in, lower that leg. Pause, and back up, nice and controlled. Hold this leg. Good. See, we're hinging through the hip. Yeah. Control. Pause at the bottom, back up. Keep that back nice and flat for me. Keep that stretch through this leg. Good, keep it going. Exhale. Pause. Good, 3 more. You should feel the core working. You might feel it's a real challenge to keep this back flat. Okay, so that's just working the core stability. Okay, you might feel that the legs are kind of tiring, building that hip strength, being able to control that position there, and then pull it back up. Okay, 2 to go. Little pause, back up, and you're getting this nice stretch through here. Last one. Little pause. And back up we come. Good stuff. Okay, so you can just pop your towel to one side for a second. What we're going to do is what we call, well, Americans call it a fire hydrant. It basically looks like a dog having a wee. So that's why I think they call them fire hydrants. So we're going to get into an all-fours position. In this position, just make sure that your shoulders are directly above your wrists and your hips are directly above your knees. We've got a nice, again, neutral position. So pelvis and rib cage line, so try and avoid this and try and avoid that for me. Nice and neutral, okay? A little bit of a gap between your knees, and what we're going to do is we're basically just going to lift one leg, okay? So as you lift that leg, try not to kind of like rock onto the other side. Try and keep your pelvis nice and stable. Lift, little hold, and back down. I want you to feel again like you're just using your core muscles around here to pull in and stabilise that spine, okay? So you should feel it working here as well as the outside of the hip. Okay, so again, lift that leg high as you can, but don't kind of rock, and back down. One side at a time. Bring out, hold high as you can. Don't worry if you're not getting too much movement. You just move as far as you can and stay stable with the rest of the body. And again, lift. And down, keep it going. Pushing yourself away from the floor just to kind of create some tension. And again, lift, hold, back down, 3 more, lift, hold, you should really feel it around this area, 2 more, lift, and hold, good, once more, and lift, and hold, good stuff. Okay, little stretch. Just sit bottom into your heels, just pull the floor towards you. Little stretch through the shoulders, obviously putting quite a little bit of a force through them shoulders, in that position and then back up. Okay, so we're going to do exactly the same on the other leg. Take the legs a little bit wider, nice and neutral posture, and just lift that leg. As you can see from this side, I'm not kind of like swaying or over rotating, or at least I shouldn't be. Keeping this neutral and just moving through the hip and back in. And again, lift. Nice and strong. And again, lift. Hold. Good, really feel everything kind of working to control that movement, stabilise, lift. If you want to make this a little bit more challenging, as you work through the exercise, you can add like a mini band to your knees, and obviously that will just give you a little bit of resistance. So if you feel like you're getting lots of movement and it's quite easy, just add some resistance. Good, 3 more. Exhale, lift. Good, 2 more. Lift. Last one, try and open up that hip. Lift. Try and get as much height as you can without compensating. And back down, good stuff. So again, you're going to feel that quite a lot in the core area. Just work on trying to just isolate that hip and just get as much lift as you can. Okay, so a couple of core exercises that we've done there. What I would like to do now is I'd like to just move into some more strength-based exercises. So again, we're going to use the chair. Now, we're going to do a single leg squat to the chair. So what I would say is if you can't quite get to the chair, don't worry, you can put cushions on it just to make it a little bit higher. It's really important that you find the depth that you can get to. I am going to use a little bit of weight just to kind of stabilise myself. So if you are at home, don't worry if you haven't got anything now, but like a couple of kilograms of weight will actually help. Okay, so if you feel a little bit wobbly this exercise without the weight, it's something that you can obviously use going forward. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do a single leg squat onto the bench. Okay, so again, this is really good for building obviously lower body strength. When you're at home and you kind of you haven't got as much equipment, it's really good to kind of incorporate single leg exercises because obviously you haven't got as much kind of resistance. So, and also good for stability as well. So what we're going to do is you're just going to stand in front of your chair. Let's say I'm going to use this little weight just to act as a counterbalance. If you've got a couple of tins of beans or anything, you can just use them, or a couple of books. Okay, and then what we're going to do is you're just going to push the weight out and sit down onto the bench and back up. Okay, if it feels too low, whatever you're using at home, you can put a couple of cushions on there, just make it a little bit higher. Or if you kind of get to here, you're like, I ain't going to come back up, just kind of use it without the bench, okay? So just going to drop down, push back up, down, and push back up. So you're really pushing through that glute. Lower down, push back up, and push back up. Try and control the bottom position if you can. 3 more, and push. 2 more, push up. Last one, control, and push. Good stuff. And a good way to kind of measure your progress with that is obviously if you're getting lower, you're getting stronger, you're building more stability. So we're going to do it on the opposite leg, okay? So get into position, okay, squat down, back down, not good on that leg, down, that's it, and touch and back up. Make sure the weight's kind of sitting into your glute, try not to drive too far over the knee, down and up. And again. 4 more, keep it going. Good, control it, 2 more, low as you can. Push back up through that leg. Once more. Well done, okay, so again with that exercise, if you feel anything elsewhere in the lower back, it's too low, so just increase that height, and as you get stronger, you can just get lower and lower. And like I say, that doesn't make it more difficult. The weight pushed out actually acts as a counterbalance, so it just makes it a little bit easier to kind of control and stabilise. Okay, so I'm puffing a bit after that one. We're going to do another kind of hip exercise now, a side plank with a leg lift. So what I would say is if you can't hold a side plank for at least 30 seconds, then you might need to just take the leg lift out and just build up a side plank. And once you've kind of built that up, then you can incorporate the leg lift. If you can, then obviously do the leg lift. If you can't, just hold the side plank for me today. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into a side plank position. Okay, so make sure that your shoulder's directly above your elbow, nice and strong, and then just drive your hips up towards the ceiling. So glutes are on, we've got this really nice strong position. Okay, and then from there what we're going to do is we're just going to lift the leg. Make sure you've got enough room. I'm just going to lift that top leg and back down. And again, keep the hips high, lift the leg and back down. Nice and strong, maintain that position, lift the leg and down. Keep driving the hips up for me. Hold and down. Good stuff. 2 more. Lift and down. Once more. Lift and down. Good stuff. If that feels too challenging, like say hold the plank, or you can also just kind of bring the knee in as a knee tuck. That makes it a little bit easier. But obviously, as you can see here, we're kind of stabilising the core and kind of building strength through the hip as well as we lift the leg. Okay, so let's swap sides. You generally find one side is a little bit easier than the other. Okay, into your side plank, nice and strong, and lift and down. Reset your position, try not to let them hips drop. Lift and down. Good. And again. Lift. And down. Keep it going. Lift. And down. 2 to go. Lift. And down. Once more. Lift. And down. Good stuff. So good effort on them, guys. I know they're quite challenging. Like I say, if you're not quite there, build up to it. Okay, so we've got time for one more exercise. Again, if you have some weight, you can kind of hold it into your chest. If you don't, it's absolutely fine. I'm going to use this dumbbell just to kind of demonstrate what you would do if you did have a little bit of weight. And what we're going to do, we're going to do a lateral lunge. So a little bit like we did in this warm-up. We're going to lunge down to the side. If you struggle with that position a little bit, which just take a little bit of time, trying to get into that heel and getting that leg straight, that's really going to help with your kind of hip mobility. So if you feel a bit stuck and you're not kind of controlled, just kind of take your time, get into that position, get familiar with that position, and then come out. Okay, so don't rush these if you're struggling with that, okay? So we're going to do one side at a time, 6 on each side, just to finish. So we're just going to step out, load in, and then what I like to do is I like to push off and drive that knee up, okay? Obviously the more you push off, the more you're going to have to stabilise, okay? So drop down, load in, push off, bring that knee, control, and again, drive in, push off. Little hold, and again, get nice and low, drive up, hold, stabilising that pelvis, 2 more, drive, hold, once more, nice and low, push off, and drive, good stuff. So work on how deep you get with that, make sure your weight's into your heels, go to the side, drop down, sit nice and low, push off, bring your knee up, try and get your knee up, back down, push off, hold, stabilise, and again, drop down, drive up, nice and controlled, 3 more, drop down, and push, good, 2 to go, nice and deep, into that heel, drive up, good, little hold at the end, push up, and oh, good stuff, okay. So like I said, there's a lot going on in that exercise. Again, you can use the weight to kind of load it up a little bit. Just focus on really getting into the hips and then creating that kind of lateral power as you step sideways and control that, okay. So it's all about kind of absorbing the force, creating the force, which is obviously something that we need to do in the golf swing, okay. So we're just going to finish off with a nice little stretch for the hips. I will be putting this video on YouTube, so obviously if you want to do the workout again or you want to do more sets, obviously we can only get through so much in 30 minutes, then obviously do that. You can use this as a full kind of training program and just increase the reps. So you warm up, do the warm up, I'll probably do maybe 2 or 3 sets of the core stuff that we did, and then 2 or 3 sets of the 3 exercises we just finished with. So we're just going to finish with a nice stretch, okay? So we're just going to do a pigeon stretch, which is a great stretch for kind of the hips and the glutes. So we're going to go down to the floor. Okay, you're just going to bring one knee out in front and the foot. We'll just show you for now. So trying to get into that position there, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're just going to walk that back leg as far as you can. Don't worry if you can't get too low, just get as low as you can. Okay, and then just push yourself away from the floor. Nice and tall. You feel that stretching through the hip. So don't force it, you just move as well as you can do. Kind of just obviously move within your limits. Okay, so we're just going to hold that a few seconds, then we're going to go down to the floor and then just retain. Just trying to get a little bit deeper if you can. Feel that stretch through the glutes and the hip. And then back up. Nice and tall. Just pick that left toe into the ground. Push back up and then swap sides. So again, just walk that leg out as far as you can. Feel that stretch through the front hip and glute. Nice and tall, just kind of ease into it. It should kind of ease as you settle into it, and then just kind of give it another little kind of push. So just don't force it, just ease. Feel that nice stretch. Head down onto the floor. Just tuck the head down. Feel that nice stretch. Might just feel you can just get a little bit lower, sink into it. Back up we come, a few seconds in this position. Tuck the toe in, and back up we come, good stuff. joining this morning. I hope it's kind of got you going. Like I say, we've got a date for golf now, so let's try and get ready for that date and ready to get back on the course. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll put this on YouTube and then I'll see you for the next session. Alright guys, thanks a lot. See you later.